start part 2 of an intellectual conversation with Jeff B. Unfortunately, we can't have Jeff B here with us because his brain would explode. And that'd be messy. We have to clean it up. And as you guys all know, you can't yell fire in a crowded theater. I can't have an intellectual conversation with Jeff B because obviously damage would be done. All right. Let's take a look at what we got here. Going through some stuff there. And let's continue to play this and we'll talk about it. Let me get it going.
Well,
unless you question what's going on, right?
Correct. And that's very difficult for someone who's in that state because they'll have moments of lucidity. I think I heard Ariane talking about this earlier too, where maybe some of these leaders even have moments of lucidity or they don't entirely believe what's going on. What you see in an abuse victim is they go in and out of truth and fantasy. And so they'll have moments where they can see it, but it's so overwhelming and so uncomfortable that the brain will short circuit back into the denial until they get to that point where something so shocking happens. And we may be nearing that point in the world. It may be that crisis on top of crisis on top of crisis. It seems like we're getting to that point now where they're going to start layering on top of the pandemic more and more crises, the supply chain, the food, the energy, like all of these things are happening at once. And so it may be that more people start to wake up as the crisis pierces their denial.
When I first heard the word social distancing, I immediately thought this does not make any sense. Something is not right. And because it's obvious, one is the opposite of the other, it doesn't match. And then after we interviewed, one of the people who we interviewed was the Holocaust survivor, Vera Sharaf, and she explained to us about euphemisms. And that's what this is, basically. It tells you that distancing yourself from others is social because it means, it's safe. The exact opposite is true. And the funny thing is that what you're saying is that many people who fall victim to this, just like in an abusive relationship, do not have the capacity to see that it doesn't make any sense.
Right, because in that state of denial and defensiveness, the person has no access to the logical brain because the logical brain is the neocortex. It's that human aspect, the evolutionary brain. But then it comes back to the primal states of the brain, the primal parts of the brain, which are concerned with survival, right? And so it becomes survival. And so they're listening to the propaganda, to those repeated phrases, the repeated language that's being used that tells them what's safe, which is, as you said, the exact opposite of safe.
But can I ask you, when you're looking at these abusive situations, you made the example that you have someone where there's love involved in the beginning, and then it maybe, someone has a bad partner choice, kind of, that it's maybe like a codependence on someone who's abusive, kind of this kind of trauma-based partner picking. I don't know if that's the right term, but so in this case, there was maybe love or friendship involved in the beginning, and then it turns kind of everything goes belly up, or it's not working in the right way. But here, would you describe the situation that we have to our government is also some sort of love, or is this or close feeling of closeness, or fatherly, motherly constellation, or is this even maybe this abuse, or what we saw in this Stockholm syndrome is maybe even love inducing in a sick way, and maybe that's also what we're seeing now, that these people are going over the top because some of them are really defending the government that maybe they were critical in the past of a lot of things, corrupt and whatever, but now it's the heroes to some extent. That's happening for some people. What do you think? Is that a combination of things that's now going on?
Yeah, it's actually the abuse cycle. So there's two phases in the abuse cycle, what we call love bombing, and that doesn't have to be in a romantic sense. It can be someone giving you compliments, paying you for...
Okay. So I'm going to end this one here, basically, because it goes into other stuff. So where we're at right now with this is the mental state of the people who are now affected by the prolonged one pandemic, but also the prolonged state of the trust the movement, right? We're actually taking that for as long as we can. We're pushing it out as far as we can for as long as we can. Okay. As they continue to push that out over and over and over and over again, it slowly deteriorates the point of return. You can't get out of it now. And there are times where people seem to be able to say, no, I don't know if this is exactly true, and start to question that. And then they get sucked back in. And this is the state in which some people reach, right? And they never fully go all in or not all in. They ride the fence. They sit in the middle. That is, like Will says, is probably worse, because at that point that person seems more realistic. It's easier to follow that person. And then when that person drifts over to the other side, it's a problem. So if you are in that middle, but everybody that you have on that is in the trust the movement gameplay, well, this is a major problem. So for me, I could not continue on down that path. I can't continue down the path knowing that there is damage being done, and there is a mental state in which people are reaching that can be dangerous to them, right? So that's why I chose. I chose that I couldn't be that path. I couldn't do it for the viewers. I couldn't do it for anything. I had to make a decision and go down a path that I chose to go down. Now, like I said in part 1, this is a path that nobody wants me down, right? They don't want anybody down this path. They don't want anybody to call people out and judge people and jump on there. Like the people in the trust the plan, they don't want anybody pulling anybody else out, because if somebody gets pulled out of that, they're going to question their beliefs, right? If I'm believing that this is the way it's going to go, and I'm going to get this free money, and I'm going to get all this stuff, and it's going to be great, and I just have to trust the plan, and I have to be this, and the person next to me says, you know what, I don't know if it's true, I'm taking his word for it, I think it's not true, and leaves, well, I have to now pull them back in. I have to pull them back in. I have to now focus to pull them back in. They have to stay with me, because we have to be a group. Because we have to be social. That is where people are at. That mental state. And like some people just say, screw them. It's their own fault. I try to tell them. Who cares? Because I'm going to be honest. The other classes, the upper classes of intellect, the upper classes of society, the higher you go up in your stages of who you are in life and who you interact with, don't care about you. Like it or not. And I know I get this, well, if I'm watching something, and Jeff even said this, if I'm watching something and I don't like what I'm watching, I just turn the channel. The issue is this channel is affecting, it's going to affect me. It is affecting me. And let me explain. We have red flag laws that are now being put in place. And they were put in place, and then they were just kind of forgotten about them, right? You know they're there, but nobody's really using them. It's no big deal. It's not a thing. Mark my words. The mental state in which most of you people will be in will absolutely be red flag deals. 100%. At one point, people said what they wanted to say. And they're like, oh, no, I don't have freedom of speech. No, you do have freedom of speech. You just have to pay for it. Go to a platform that gives you freedom of speech. Unfortunately, the free one is not for you. Things are changing and rules are changing and life is changing. So I can sit back and say, well, I just don't like that channel. I'm just going to watch something else. Or I can say, wait a minute. There's a bunch of people right there that are about to get hit by a truck. And I can just either sit there and just turn around or I can yell out to them. Maybe it's me wanting to join the Coast Guard. Maybe it was me wanting to protect, wanting to save. But when a bunch of kids are crossing the street and the truck's coming, what do I do? Turn around and go on with my day? And maybe screaming loud enough and trying to be a part of this, to try to help and change people's minds. Maybe it's worth just one. Maybe it's worth 100. I haven't put a number on it. How many do I need to help? If any. But there's reasons I came this route. There's people that helped me this route. Yes, Shar, I know. But when I explain to somebody that your job is to protect, when your job is to protect you and everyone around you, everybody that you bring on the show, everybody that works for your show, when I explain that, and that didn't happen, I just knew it wasn't for me. I just knew that I needed to go my direction. And then you look to see how bad it is, and it's like, oh my God. There's so many. And there's a lot of people that don't realize it, that how many there are of the truthers. It's not just the small stations. But you got to start someplace. I've called out Phil. Phil's not coming. Because he wouldn't last with me in a debate. He wouldn't be able to even function. His brain would shut down. And he can't have that. Most likely he couldn't have that because it would actually be damaging to him. I don't know if Phil believes it or not. I don't think he believes it so much as he wants you to believe it, but unfortunately, people are suffering. People are drowning. People are out there drowning. And I'm the Coast Guard. I can't drive by. I can't turn the channel. This is a situation that pussies turn the channel. I'm coming head on. You want science, you want facts, you want knowledge? There you go. You want to come at me saying, oh, this is one step higher than Planet of the Apes. Maybe. But if you ain't willing to debate me, if you ain't willing to come and change my mind, show me, and stand up for your belief, the one that you're selling to the weaker-minded, what's that say about you? If I got a belief, even if I debate right or wrong, I'll stand up. You want me there? I'll come there. You want to come here? Come on over. All I know is that we've been changing the channel for long enough. We've been watching people drown for long enough. Because if we don't stop something, if we don't do something, it's going to take us all down with it. And I know some of you want that. I know some of you want the free money and you want the monthly stuff and you want the social monthly income. You want to have less and live simpler. Because it's just too hard to push yourself. Your motivation has been broke because that's what they're breaking, your motivation. No more of submissiveness. World needs dominance. People need to step up. and bring people out. Pull people out. Make people think. And that's the hardest part. Making someone use their critical thought. Making someone use that part of their brain. It's hard. There are people smarter than me, by far. Ask Fall. He'll tell you. Actually, don't ask Fall. But sometimes it doesn't take much. Sometimes it takes just an interaction through a chat to make somebody think. Happened to me. People are like, oh, you went to the dark side. No, I went to my side. I went to what I believe I have to do my part. That's where I went. My side. And I get this all the time. That's the dark side. Really? Really? Sage, such as a profound philosopher, distinguished for wisdom, mature or valuable person of sound judgment. Sage. I stand by that. I stand by that. Sage out. Hey, this is Sage, the better part of the Defiant Discord podcast. Listen, check us out. Link's going to be down below. Check out the show. It's a great time. We talk about a lot of things. We have people on. It's a call-in show. But also, we're on Spotify, Podbean, iHeart. All these links are going to be down below. I'll throw them in there. But make sure you click on those links and get on that podcast portion of it, too. Because that way you can download it. And you can listen to me and that other guy all the time while you're doing your work and doing your things. And just check us out.